1989, Banbury, England, a nondescript industrial park where ProDrive operates out of sheds and borrowed space. David Richards takes a call. On the line, a man named Ryuichiro Kuzi, Subaru. Japanese carmaker nobody's heard of outside safari rallies and obscure mountain roads. They want in. World Rally Championship. Full program. Can ProDrive do it? Richards hangs up, walks to the bookshelf. Actually has to look up what Subaru makes. The Leon. Quirky little thing. Rear-wheel drive mostly. Some all-wheel variants. Nothing impressive. But Kuze mentioned a new car. The Legacy, just launched. Sedan, family hauler, wagon variant, boxer engine, turbo option. All-wheel drive as standard on the performance trim. Richards does the math. Turbo plus all-wheel drive equals Group A potential. Everything else can be fixed. 3 months later, a Legacy arrives at Banbury. Stock, off the showroom floor. Engineers tear into it. The boxer engine sits low, gives the car a decent center of gravity. The all-wheel drive uses viscous couplings, decent but primitive compared to what Lancia is running. Transmission feels agricultural, brakes adequate for shopping, not for Monte Carlo hairpins. And the size. The Legacy is big, mid-size family sedan competing against nimble hatchbacks. In Group A rally, where Lancia Delta Integral dominates with 6 consecutive manufacturers' titles, where Toyota Celica GT4 just took Carlos Sainz to the 1990 driver's crown, where Mitsubishi Galant VR4 shows flashes of brilliance, this wagon looks out of place. If you value documented rally history and the engineering that changed motorsport, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Subaru World Rally Team Wikipedia archives, updated 3 weeks ago in January 2026. Colin McRae biographical data from SnapLap, published October 25th, 2025. And rally results from EWRCResults.com's comprehensive database. These aren't generic sources. They're maintained by rally historians who cross-reference homologation papers, FIA technical bulletins, and period photography. Now back to the information. ProDrive Chief Engineer David Lapworth describes the development as a steep learning curve. The 2-liter EJ20 turbocharged flat 4 produces maybe 200 horsepower in street form, needs to hit close to 300 for competition. Problem is, it lacks power everywhere. Torque a curve flatter than Fenland. Transmission can't handle the increased output without grenading. Cooling inadequate, braking system from the previous decade, and weight distribution nose heavy because that boxer engine, despite sitting low, still packs mass up front. January 1990. Legacy RS homologated. Group A regulations demand 5,000 road-going units. Subaru builds them. 2-liter turbocharged boxer. Hex-Track 5-speed manual gearbox designed specifically for rally abuse. Viscous coupling center differential. Limited slip differentials, front and rear. 392 newton meters of torque. 290 horsepower claimed for the rally spec. Actual figure probably closer to 400 once ProDrive finishes with it, because in Group A, everyone's bending the 300 horsepower limit. Lancia running 400. Toyota, the same. Nobody proves it because nobody wants the tech inspections that would follow. March 1990. Safari, Rally, Kenya. Round 3 of the World Rally Championship. 59 entries, brutal event. Most grueling rally in the championship. Rocks rip sump guards, dust chokes air filters, heat cooks electronics. Only 10 cars will see the finish. 6 Legacies enter. Subaru Rally Team. Japan fields Marco Allen in car number 1. Finish legend. Former Lancia, works driver. 4 Fiat wins, 6 Lancia victories. Nearly won the 1986 championship before Peugeot's appeal stripped his Sanremo win. Now he's with Subaru. The other 5 cars carry privateers and local heroes. Mike Kirkland, Possumborn, the New Zealander who will become a Subaru stalwart. Ian Duncan from Kenya, Jim Heather Hayes, Patrick Njiru, Allen retires, engine troubles, Kirkland out. Bourne struggles. But 2 Legacies finish. 8th overall goes to Njiru. First Group N car ever to finish Safari Rally. Group N means production spec, almost showroom condition, only safety modifications allowed. The Legacy, basically stock, survives Kenya when 50 other purpose-built machines die. Heather Hayes brings us home in 6th. The finish says more than the result. 59 starters, 10 finishers. 2 are Legacies. Subaru's first Safari Rally with their new sedan, and the car proves it won't break. Not fast, not competitive. But it finishes. In Rally, that's the foundation. May 1990, Acropolis Rally, Greece. Allen leads the first stage, then suspension brakes second stage. He keeps driving, finishes the rally, shows determination, not speed. The Legacy isn't there yet. Too heavy, too slow. Too nose heavy in the tight technical sections where Lancia and Toyota dance. August 1990. 1000 Lakes Rally, Finland. Alan's home event, the fastest rally in the world. Jumps that launch car's 30 meters, flat out 6th gear sections through pine forests. If you lift, you lose. 4th place. Alan brings the legacy home 4th. Best result of the season. Not a win, not a podium. But 4th against Lancia, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Ford. The legacy shows it can run with them on the fastest gravel stages in the world. November 1990, Lombardraki Rally. Great Britain, Derek Warwick drives a legacy. Former Formula One pilot. 15 Grand Prix starts, never won an F1. Now trying rally, the career shift doesn't yield magic. Warwick retires, season ends. Subaru finishes nowhere in the Manufacturers' Championship. Alan scores points at Finland, nowhere else significant. But ProDrive learns. Suspension geometry all wrong for the weight distribution. Diff maps too aggressive in the wet, too soft in the dry. Engine makes power high in the rev range when rally needs mid-range punch for corner exit. Gearbox ratio spaced for road driving, not stage times. Cooling marginal. Brakes overheating. ProDrive tears down the season cars. Measures everything. Collects data from every stage, every surface. Builds new chassis over the winter. Revises suspension geometry. Recalibrates the differentials. Adjusts gearbox ratios. Increases cooling capacity. Fits bigger brakes. Still using the same basic legacy platform because Group A rules don't allow clean sheet redesigns. But every component that can be modified within regulations gets attention. February 1991. Swedish Rally. Snow. Ice. Studded tires. Narrow forest roads where one mistake puts you in a snowbank and the clock keeps running. Alan qualifies the legacy midfield. Starts the rally. 3rd place. Marco Alan brings the legacy home 3rd. Behind Mitsubishi's Kenneth Eriksson. Behind Toyota's Mats Johnson. But ahead of everyone else. Ahead of Lancia. Ahead of Ford. Ahead of the rest of the Toyotas. First podium for the Subaru legacy. First podium for Subaru in the modern WRC era. The Finnish driver who spent 15 years with Lancia, who nearly became world champion with them, now stands on a WRC podium in a Subaru wagon. The paddock notices. Alan continues the season, finishes 3 more rallies in the points, retires 3 times, ends the year 8th in the driver's standings. Respectable for a second-year program with an overweight sedan. Subaru climbs to 8th in manufacturers, still not threatening Lancia's dominance, still behind Toyota, Mitsubishi, even Mazda, but moving forward. Something else happens in 1991. Something more important than Alan's podium. David Richards signs a 23-year-old Scottish driver named Colin McRae to run the British Rally Championship. Annual salary roughly £10,000. McRae's been quick in rear-drive Sierras, showed pace at Rally New Zealand, finishing 5th in 1989, impressed at RAC Rally 1990, finishing 6th despite crashes. Richards sees something. Raw speed. Commitment. The kind of driver who can extract every tenth from a car. March 1991. Vauxhall Sport International Rally. Opening round British Rally Championship. McRae and navigator Derek Ringer in the Rothmans liveried Legacy RS. They win. Just like that. First rally with Subaru, victory. Circuit of Ireland, McRae wins. Wales, Rally GB. Crashes out. Not ideal. But Scottish Rally, his home event. McRae wins, dominates. The young Scot, who earned the nickname McCrash for his aggressive style, the driver everyone said was too wild, wins the 1991 British Rally Championship, first major title. In a Subaru Legacy, in his debut season with ProDrive. The Legacy, the car critics said was too big, too heavy, too underpowered, just won a national championship. Not the World Rally Championship, not yet, but the British Championship matters. It's where careers launch, where manufacturers prove their cars, where Richard Burns, Alan's replacement at Subaru, will cut his teeth, where Colin McRae just announced himself. November 1991, Lombard RAC Rally, World Rally Championship round. McRae debuts at WRC level with Subaru Rally Team Europe. Crashes out, the speed's there. The control isn't, not yet. But Ari Vatanen finishes 5th in another legacy. The legendary Finn, Pikes Peak champion Group B survivor, now with Subaru. 5th isn't spectacular, but Vatanen proves the legacy can run full WRC events without braking. 1992, Subaru enters 7 of 14 WRC rounds. Not a full campaign. Cherry-picking events, focusing on gravel rallies where the legacy's all-wheel drive and ground clearance matter more than nimble handling. Ari Vatanen becomes full-time WRC driver for Subaru. Colin McRae joins him for selected events, also full-time in British Rally Championship defense. February 1992, Swedish Rally. McRae's first full WRC event with the works team. Snow, ice. The youngest driver in the field, Finns and Scandinavians who grew up sliding on frozen lakes. McRae qualifies well, stays with the leaders through the opening stages, doesn't crash, doesn't make rookie errors, just drives. Smooth, fast, consistent. Second place. Colin McRae finishes 39 seconds behind Toyota's Mats Johnson. First WRC podium, age 23. Second race with Subaru at world level. The paddock stops dismissing him as the wild Scottish kid. This is controlled speed. This is a future champion showing the first glimpses. Vatanen takes second at Lombard Racing Rally. McRae finishes 8th in the championship despite limited starts. Vatanen 11th. Subaru climbs to 4th in manufacturer standings. Still behind Lancia, Toyota, Ford, but closing, the gap shrinking. And in Britain, McRae wins every single British Rally Championship round. 6 rallies, 6 wins. Perfection. Never been done before in the BRC. Won every event, won nearly every stage. The Rothmans' legacy becomes iconic. Blue, white, gold wheels. McRae sideways through Welsh forests. Second British title locked by midsummer. The legacy isn't winning in the WRC yet, but it's close. ProDrive keeps developing. 1993 brings the final evolution. Blue and yellow livery. State Express 555 sponsorship. British American tobacco money flowing in. McRae moves to near full WRC program. 8 events. Vatanen back for more. And the new Impreza waits in the wings. Smaller, lighter, purpose-built for rally. But for now the legacy gets one last season. April 1993. Acropolis Rally, Greece. Vatanen leads. Actually leads. The legacy at the front of a World Rally Championship event, ahead of Tommy Mäkinen's Lancia, ahead of Carlos Sainz's Toyota, ahead of Didier Auriol, ahead of Colin McRae, ahead of Juha Kankkunen, the Subaru Wagon leading the WRC, Special Stage 21. Vatanen crashes, badly. Car damaged extensively, rally over. The legacy showed it could lead, just couldn't finish. August 1993, Rally New Zealand, gravel, fast, technical. McRae and Ringer in the 555 legacy. Ford's Francois Delacour in the Mondeo, fighting for the lead, back and forth. Stage by stage, McRae pushing, Delacour answering. The final stages, McRae attacks, holds the gap, brings the legacy home first. Victory. Colin McRae wins Rally New Zealand, first WRC win for the Subaru legacy, first WRC win for Colin McRae, first WRC win for Subaru in the modern era. The last rally for the legacy before the Impreza takes over. The big sedan that everyone said couldn't compete, that was too heavy, too slow, too wrong for modern rally, wins a World Rally Championship event. The legacy retires after New Zealand. 4 years, 1990 to 93. 1 WRC victory, 5 WRC podiums, 3 consecutive British Rally Championship titles, 2 world champions discovered and developed, Colin McRae. Richard Burns, both started in legacies, both won British titles in legacies, both went on to become WRC champions in Imprezas, but the legacy gave them the foundation. The bigger story is what happened next. Subaru Impreza debuts Rally Finland 1993. Smaller, lighter, more agile. Built from the ground up for Group A rally. Vatanen takes second. The car shows immediate pace. By 1994, Subaru finishes second in manufacturers behind Toyota. Carlos Sainz joins the team. 1995, Colin McRae becomes world champion. First British driver to win the WRC, age 27. Youngest ever at the time. Record stands until 2022. Subaru wins Manufacturers' Championship. 1996, Manufacturers' title again. 1997, third consecutive Manufacturers' crown. But none of that happens without the legacy. The car taught ProDrive how to make Subarus win. The suspension geometry, the differential calibration, the engine mapping, the gearbox ratios. Every lesson learned in 4 years with the legacy transfers to the Impreza. The legacy proved Subaru's boxer engine and all-wheel drive could compete at the highest level. Proved the concept. Proved the partnership between Japanese manufacturer and British engineering house could work. And the drivers. McRae wins 25 WRC rallies. Richard Burns, who took the third consecutive British title in a legacy in '93, wins the 2001 World Championship for Subaru. Petter Solberg takes the 2003 title. 3 world champions, all connected to the legacy program. All learned their craft in the big blue sedan that wasn't supposed to be competitive. The technical specifications tell part of the story. Legacy RS homologated January 1990, form number A828, engine code EJ20G, 1,994 cubic centimeters. Turbocharged, intercooled, DOHC, 4 valves per cylinder, bore 89.0 millimeters, stroke 81.0 millimeters. Compression ratio 8.0 to 1. Power output 290. Horsepower at 6,000 RPM claimed. Torque 392 Newton meters at 4,800 RPM claimed. Reality probably 400 horsepower after ProDrive's work. 5-speed manual, X-Track gearbox. Ratios optimized for gravel stages. Vicus coupling center differential. Front limited slip. Rear limited slip. Curb weight approximately 1,240 kilograms in rally trim. Ground clearance adjustable between 150 and 200 millimeters depending on stage surface. Suspension, McPherson struts front, trailing arms rear. Modified geometry for rally, Bilstein dampers. Adjustable anti-roll bars. Brakes, ventilated discs, all corners. 4-piston calipers front, 2-piston rear. Wheels, 15-inch diameter. Tires Pirelli or Michelin, depending on surface and team choice. 205 with 65 profile for gravel. Narrower studded for snow. The competition in Group A was fierce. Lancia Delta, HF Integrale Evoluzione. 6 consecutive manufacturers. Titles 1987 through 92. Most successful rally car in history. Turbo 2-liter inline 4. All-wheel drive. Sophisticated differential system. 300 horsepower claimed, 400 actual. Juha Kankkunen, Miki Biasian, Didier Auriol. Drivers who won championships. Dominant until Toyota finally matched them. Toyota Celica GT4 ST 165. Carlos Sainz drove it to 1990 driver's title. ST 185 replaced it for 92. Won Drivers' Championship 92, 93, 94. Manufacturers 93 and 94. 2-liter 3 SGTE turbocharged engine. All-wheel drive, sophisticated electronics. Carlos Sainz, Juha Kankkunen, Didier Auriol. All won titles in the Celica. Toyota's engineering prowess fully displayed. Mitsubishi Galant VR4. Bigger like the Legacy. Turbo 2-liter. All-wheel drive. 4-wheel steering on some versions. Won individual rallies. Never a championship, but always dangerous. Then the Lancer Evolution arrived 92 for homologation. Began its dynasty Ford Sierra Cosworth 4x4. Rear-biased all-wheel drive. Turbo 2-liter Cosworth engine. Fast on tarmac, struggled on gravel. Then the Escort RS Cosworth 93. Francois Delacour. McRae would drive one later after leaving Subaru. Competitive, but never dominant. Mazda 323 GTR. Nissan Pulsar GTIR. Both turbocharged all-wheel drive small cars. Group A rules creating an arms race of technology. Manufacturers pouring millions into rally to prove their road cars. The Legacy arrived into this battlefield as the outsider. The family wagon, nobody expected to compete. The 1990 WRC season was brutal for new entries. Lancia won 6 events, 6 different drivers because their stable was deep. Toyota won the rest. Sainz took the driver's title. Subaru finished nowhere, but survived, learned, adapted. 1991, Lancia's final fully factory year before they withdrew. Still won manufacturers, but cracks showing. Kankkunen won driver's title by 1 point over Sainz when Sainz's head gasket failed late in Rassi Rally. Toyota pushed Lancia to the limit. The Legacy took its first podium in Sweden, showed it belonged in the fight. 1992, Lancia gone, privateer Jolly Club team running them with some factory support. Toyota dominated. Won manufacturers, Sainz drivers champion, Ford competitive, Mitsubishi taking wins. The top of Group A wide open for the first time in years. Subaru finished 4th in manufacturers. McRae's Swedish podium, Vatanen's RAC second, building momentum. 1993, the transition year, Legacy's final season. Impreza development complete, ready to race. Lancia still occasionally wins, but fading. Toyota, strong. Ford stronger with the new Escort Cosworth. McRae wins New Zealand in the Legacy. Vatanen leads Acropolis until the crash. Then Rally Finland. Impreza debuts. Vatanen second. The torch passes. Small Japanese sedan to smaller Japanese coupe. Legacy retires with dignity. Victory on its way out. What made the Legacy work? Engineering persistence. ProDrive didn't accept the limitations. Boxer engine sits low, improves center of gravity. All-wheel drive system crude compared to Lancia but effective. Viscous coupling reliable. Doesn't need electronic management that can fail. Ground clearance helps on rough stages. Subframe strong enough to handle suspension loads. McPherson struts simple to repair in service parks. Parts availability good because it's based on production car. 5,000 road-going versions means spares exist, but also the drivers. Marco Allen brought experience. 15 years with Fiat and Lancia, knew how to develop a car, gave feedback ProDrive could use, sacrificed his late career to build Subaru's program. Never won a driver's title himself, despite more wins than any driver until Sebastian Loeb. Now maximum attack with a Japanese wagon in his final competitive years, Ari Vatanen. Group B legend, Peugeot 205, T16, Pikes Peak Master. Knew how to attack. Joined Subaru for the challenge. Proved the Legacy could lead WRC events even if reliability wouldn't hold. Colin McRae. The catalyst? Raw speed nobody could match. Commitment that terrified co-drivers and thrilled spectators. When in doubt, flat out. That became his motto. Learned to harness that speed in the Legacy. Won 2 British titles. Learned patience. Learned pace notes. Learned how to win rallies, not just stages. Then took that to the WRC and the Impreza and won the whole thing. Richard Burns, methodical, precise, the opposite of McRae's wild style but equally fast. Took the 1993 British title in the LNX-sponsored Legacy. Moved to Mitsubishi, then back to Subaru for the 2001 world title. Died tragically young from brain tumor 2005, age 41. But his legacy includes that British championship in the Legacy. The training ground for greatness, David Richards saw it. ProDrive chairman, former world champion co-driver with Vatanen in '81, businessman who built ProDrive into a motorsport empire, the Safari Rally. 1989 meeting with Ryuichiro Kuze changed everything. Richards didn't know Subaru, had to look them up, but saw potential, boxer engine, turbo. All-wheel drive, that's enough. Everything else we'll fix, and they did. David Lapworth, chief engineer, former Cosworth employee, understood turbo engines, worked with Richards to extract power from the EJ20 without grenading reliability, revised intake, improved exhaust, stronger internals, better cooling, found 400 horsepower, made it last entire rallies. The steep learning curve paid off. The technical specifications evolved each season. 1990, Legacy RS, basic, X-Track gearbox, standard differentials, simple suspension, 290 horsepower, heavy, slow, but finished rallies. 1991, revised suspension geometry, recalibrated differentials, improved cooling, better brake packages, still using X-Track gearbox, 5 speeds, but ratios optimized, power output creeping toward 350. Weight reduced slightly through carbon fiber panels where regulations allowed. Alan takes the Swedish podium, 1992, more power, 370, maybe 380, stronger transmission to handle it, 6-speed gearbox homologated with special evolution models. No, still 5-speed, but bulletproof now. Suspension fully optimized for the Legacy's weight distribution. Differentials mapped perfectly for each surface. McRae takes Swedish second. Vatanen competitive everywhere. 1993, final specification, 400 horsepower, maybe more. The blue and yellow 555 livery. State Express cigarette branding. British American tobacco money funding development. 6-speed, still 5, but ratio's perfect now. Weight down to minimum Group A allows. Suspension and differentials refined over 4 years to extract every tenth. McRae wins New Zealand. Vatanen leads Acropolis until the crash. The Legacy at its peak before the Impreza takes over. The production Legacy RS sold to enthusiasts. 5,000 built for homologation. Japan got 1,800. Europe 3,000. Australia 150. Rare everywhere. The road car couldn't match the rally spec, but gave buyers a taste. 2-liter turbocharged EJ20, 200 horsepower, all-wheel drive. 5-speed manual, Vicus couplings, the same bones as the race car. Enthusiasts modified them, added power, upgraded suspension, created their own rally replicas. The Legacy built a following. Then, the Impreza arrived, and everything changed. Smaller, lighter, purpose-built. The Legacy taught Subaru and ProDrive how to win. The Impreza capitalized. 46 WRC victories. 3 manufacturers' titles in a row. 3 drivers' titles. McRae, 95. Burns, 2001. Solberg, 2003. Built a dynasty. Created the image of Subaru as rally brand. The blue and gold Impreza became iconic. Video games featured it. The PlayStation game Colin McRae, Rally 98, introduced an entire generation to the Impreza and Subaru, but the Legacy started it. The big wagon that wasn't supposed to work. The family sedan nobody believed in. The underdog that became competitive through engineering, development, and drivers willing to push beyond limits. 1 WRC win, 5 podiums, 3 British championships, 2 future world champions trained, and the foundation for Subaru's greatest era. The archive footage shows it. McRae sideways through Welsh forests and the Rothmans' Legacy, Vatanen leading the Acropolis in blue and yellow, Alan on the Swedish snow in 1991 taking that first podium. Grainy video from before high definition, before onboard cameras were common. Just external shots of the Legacy dancing on gravel, nose heavy so it understeers into corners. Then the rear breaks loose under power and the car rotates. Opposite lock, full throttle. All 4 wheels clawing for grip. Gravel roosting behind. The sound of the flat 4 at 8,000 RPM. Turbo screaming. Wastegate flutter on throttle lift. Then back on power and the noise builds again. In-car footage, when it exists, shows McRae's hands. Constant sawing at the wheel. Reading the road. Responding to every bump, every slide, every weight transfer. Derek Ringer beside him calling pass notes. The navigator's job critical. Timing, rhythm, trust. If the co-driver is late with a call, the driver hits a corner too fast. If early, the driver brakes when they could have carried speed. The partnership between McRae and Ringer was key. 2 British titles together. Then the WRC campaign. Trust built over thousands of kilometers. The service parks between stages, mechanics working against the clock, 15-minute service windows, change tires, check suspension, top fluids, fix damage. No time for major repairs. If a differential breaks, if suspension collapses, if the engine dies, the rally's over. The Legacy proved reliable. Finished events when faster cars broke. That's how Njiru won Group N at Safari 90. That's how the Legacy gained respect. It didn't break. Modern rally fans know Subaru for the Impreza, the GC8 chassis, the bug-eye headlights, the two-door coupe, the STI badge, the gold wheels. The Rally Heritage Edition cars sold to collectors. But the Legacy came first, set the template, proved the concept, and won when nobody expected it. Rally New Zealand 93, the final race. McRae versus Delacour. The Ford driver in the Mondeo, the new threat. McRae in the Legacy, the old dog having its last fight. Stage times posted. McRae faster. Delacour responds, and McRae pushes harder. The gap fluctuates. Sometimes McRae ahead by 30 seconds. Then Delacour closes to 10. McRae extends again. 20 seconds. Delacour won't quit. Final stage. McRae knows the Legacy's limits now. 4 years of development. Knows exactly how hard he can push. Attacks the stage. Clean run. No mistakes. Crosses the line. Waits. Delacour's time comes through. McRae wins by enough. Not dominant. Not easy. But victory. That's the Legacy story. Not the dominant champion. Not the car that revolutionized rally. But the car that proved Subaru belonged. The car that survived when others broke. The car that taught 2 future world champions how to win. The car that started a dynasty. The Legacy of the Legacy. Capital L. The Impreza wins more, gets more glory, more video game covers, more posters on bedroom walls. But ask rally historians about Subaru's rise. They start with the Legacy. The big sedan, the Wagon, the family car turned rally weapon. They talk about McRae's British titles, Allen's Swedish podium, Vatnen's speed, the New Zealand victory, the foundation. Today, surviving Legacy RS rally cars sell for serious money. Original ProDrive built works cars, when they appear, command 6 figures, even replicas fetch premiums. Collectors want them because they're rare, because they're the beginning of the Subaru rally story, because they proved everyone wrong. Look at a 1990 Legacy RS on the road. Stock, unmodified, family wagon, slightly boring actually. Then imagine it with Rothman's livery, gold wheels, lowered suspension, screaming through a forest stage in Wales at 150 kilometers per hour. McRae at the wheel, ringer calling notes. That transformation is what rally does, takes ordinary cars and makes them extraordinary. Group A regulations demanded it. 5,000 production units means real people drove Legacy RSs on real roads, took kids to school in them, went grocery shopping, commuted to work. The same basic car that won Rally New Zealand, same engine, same all-wheel drive, same transmission, different tuning, different suspension, different brakes, but fundamentally the same machine. That's what made Group A special. That's what made Rally relevant to manufacturers. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Subaru sales increased because of Rally success. People bought Imprezas because of McRae and Burns. But it started with the Legacy. The archive shows Rally's golden era. Late 80s through late 90s. Group A at its peak, Lancia, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Subaru, Ford, Mazda, Nissan, all competing, all throwing money at development, all desperate to win. The competition brutal, the speeds insane, the risks enormous. And through it, the Legacy held its own. The specific challenges each surface presented tested every weakness. Monte Carlo, tarmac mixed with snow and ice, one corner dry asphalt, next corner black ice. Tire choice critical, studded for ice, slick for dry. Choose wrong and you're seconds slower per stage. The Legacy struggled here. Weight distribution meant understeer on tarmac. Rear-heavy cars like the Lancia danced. The Legacy plowed. McRae compensated with aggression. Scandinavian flick into every corner. Break the rear loose, rotate the car, get it pointed right. Then power down and let the all-wheel drive claw forward. It worked. Not elegantly, but it worked. Sweden, same problem, different solution. Pure ice and snow, narrow forest roads, snowbanks tight on both sides. Hit one and you're stuck. Lose 30 seconds, maybe more, digging out. Or retirement if the impact breaks suspension. The Legacy's width, a disadvantage. Wider track helps stability, but means less room for error. Allen knew these roads from 15 years of WRC experience. Knew every crest, every compression, every deceptive corner that tightens mid-apex. That knowledge got him the 91 podium. Pure skill overcoming the car's limitations. Safari Rally Kenya different again. Heat, dust, rocks. The most brutal event on the calendar. Crews starting in darkness at 3 a.m. to avoid midday heat. Temperatures hitting 40 degrees Celsius. Dust so thick you can't see the car ahead. Navigation by instinct and faith. rocks hidden in the dust that punch through sump guards and oil pans. One wrong line and the engine dies bleeding oil into African dirt. The Legacy's ground clearance helped here. Boxer engine sits low anyway. Clearance adjustable between 150 and 200 millimeters. Set it high for Kenya. Take the rough sections smooth. The suspension travel absorbed impacts that broke others. That's why 2 Legacies finished when 59 started and only 10 saw the flag. Acropolis Rally Greece, the WRC's rough gravel event, Rocky Mountain roads that destroy suspension, compressions that bottom out the chassis, jumps that send cars airborne for seconds, land wrong and the front suspension collapses. The suspension geometry, ProDrive, developed over 4 years, paid off here. McPherson struts front, simple and strong, trailing arms rear robust enough to handle hard landings, Bilstein dampers custom valved for each surface. When Vatanen led the 93 Acropolis until the crash, he did it because the suspension kept working while others broke. Rally New Zealand, fast gravel, cambered corners, loose surface over hard base, the perfect rally for the Legacy's strengths. All-wheel drive traction off corners, turbo power on straights, ground clearance over rough patches. Weight didn't matter as much when momentum mattered more. McRae's 93 victory came because the Legacy suited New Zealand. Fast, flowing, needed commitment and traction more than nimble handling. McRae had commitment in abundance. The Legacy provided traction. Perfect match. Rally Argentina. High altitude, thin air, turbo cars advantage. Naturally aspirated engines lose power with altitude. Turbocharged engines compensate. The Legacy's turbo spooled up fine at 3,000 meters. The competition gasping. But Argentina also had dust, blinding dust, and rocks. The Legacy survived, finished events, scored points, built the manufacturer's standings position that funded next year's development. Rally Finland, the fastest. 6th gear flat out between trees. Jumps launching cars 30 meters. Land, keep the throttle pinned, brake as late as physically possible for the next corner. 90-degree left over crest. Can't see the exit, trust the notes. Brake, turn, power. Repeat 200 times at race pace. One mistake and you're in the trees at 160 kilometers per hour. The Legacy worked here. The straight line speed from the turbo. The all-wheel drive traction on landing. Allen's 4th place 90. The car proved it could run with the fastest rally cars in the world on the fastest rally stages in the world. Corsica, pure tarmac. Asphalt mountain roads, tiny villages, stone walls inches from the racing line, Armco barriers, no runoff, no forgiveness. The Legacy struggled here. Weight distribution wrong for tarmac, understeer chronic. The nose pushes wide in every corner. Need to trail brake deep, keep weight on the front, then transition and the rear steps out. Catch it, balance it. The Lancia perfect here. The Toyota competitive. The Legacy surviving on driver talent alone, not the car for tarmac, but fast enough to finish, fast enough to learn, fast enough to score occasional points. Then, World Rally Cars arrived 1997. New regulations, purpose-built machines, bigger budgets. The formula changed. Group A faded. But for a decade, Group A defined rally. Production-based monsters pushing beyond what road cars should do. And the Legacy was right there in the middle of it. Not the best, not the fastest, but competitive, relevant, successful enough to matter. The service parks between events showed the scale of operation. ProDrive's transporters. 3 semi-trucks carrying 2 complete rally cars plus spare parts for a season. Engines, transmissions, suspension components, body panels. Every part that might break carried in those trucks. Service crews, 20 people. Mechanics, engineers, logistics, coordinators. Chef to feed everyone. Team manager to coordinate the chaos. Each service between stages, 15 minutes. Change 4 tires. Check fluids. Inspect suspension. Fix any damage. Fuel if needed. Then close the hood and send the car back out. 15 minutes to keep a 400 horsepower rally car running at the limit. The cost astronomical by early 90s standards. ProDrive's budget for Subaru estimated £5 million per season. That's 92 money. 10 million in today's pounds accounting for inflation. Each rally car cost £300,000 to build. 2 cars per event minimum. 1 primary. 1 backup in case the first crashes. Spare parts another £1 million per season. Transportation, personnel, logistics, testing between events, all adds up. British American Tobacco's 555 sponsorship covered maybe half. Subaru covered the rest. The investment had to pay off in sales. It did. Impreza WRX sales went through the roof after the rally success. The Legacy proved the concept. The Impreza capitalized. The testing between events, crucial. ProDrive's test track near Banbury, gravel stages laid out in farmland, tarmac sections, testing suspension changes, differential maps, engine calibrations, tire compounds, every variable tested methodically, data logged, analyzed. The next evolution based on that data. David Lapworth and his engineers obsessive about details, measure everything, change 1 variable, test again, compare data, If it's faster, keep it. If it's slower, understand why. This methodical approach built the legacy into a winner over 4 years, the relationship between Subaru and ProDrive Special. Japanese manufacturer trusting British engineering house with their motorsport program. The cultural differences significant. Japanese business culture formal, hierarchical, consensus-driven. British motorsport culture informal, fast-moving. Decisions made quickly by small groups. David Richards bridged that gap, spoke the language of engineering and business, convinced Fuji Heavy Industries that ProDrive could deliver, then delivered. The trust built over 4 years of results. Podiums, victories, championships. That trust led to the Impreza program, led to the world titles, led to Subaru becoming synonymous with rally. That's the story nobody tells. Everyone knows the Impreza. Everyone recognizes the blue and gold livery. Everyone remembers McRae's 1995 championship. But how many people know he started in a legacy? How many know the legacy won a WRC rally? How many remember the British championships, the Swedish podium, the foundation that made everything else possible? This is that story. The plain Subaru wagon. Too big, too heavy, too wrong for rallying. That proved everyone wrong. That won races, that trained champions, that started a dynasty. The underdog that refused to quit. 4 years, 1990 to 93. 1 WRC victory, 5 podiums, 3 British championships. The foundation for 3 world titles, the proof that Subaru and ProDrive could compete at the highest level. The legacy didn't shock the world. It did something better. It proved that persistence, engineering, and drivers with courage could overcome every disadvantage. And that lesson built Subaru into a rally legend.